In your book, you shared the story of your student Luke, who made a quantum leap despite not practicing consistently. What did you learn from Luke?
A lot. So Luke was a paradigm changer for me.
Wow.
Obviously, I had already taught thousands of people by the time I met Luke, and I had my ideas about what people could do in a certain amount of time. He came to me playing a Clementi Sonatina, which is a relatively intermediate piano piece, and then he proceeded to essentially not practice for the next 2 years. And he actually got into the Cleveland Heights High School jazz band, which was interesting because he had no jazz experience, but they needed a pianist. So I helped him learn the theory, and he was very quick. He was intelligent. He was very quick to pick up on it. And, we just rolled with that, and he became a good contributing member to the jazz band, and things were going well there. And he came to me at the end of his junior year. I think it was in February, actually, and he said, I think I want to do senior solo. I said, okay, do you know what senior solo is? Senior solo is when you play an advanced classical piano concerto with the orchestra. You have to audition, and, it's really only a few months away. So I started playing him some concerti that were easy. He was not taken by any of them, and so I ended up playing him some more advanced ones just to show him what he would have to work with. And
right.
I played so I played him the Ravel Concerto in G, which is an advanced piece. And he said, yeah, I want to do that one. I tried to explain that it's really not normal to go from playing a Clementi Sonatina 2 years ago and then not really practicing for 2 years and then trying to play the Ravel Concerto. He was really challenging me because, I don't ever place limits on my students, and
Right.
I don't do that inside in my thoughts either.
Right.
So, but this was a challenge to that. And so what I decided to do was, rather than, try to remake my whole thought about what this process should look like, I said, tell you what, why don't you go home, practice this 4 to 8 measure spot for a week, see what it's like, and see if you want to continue this, and we'll kind of take it that way week by week.
Okay.
He said, sure. So a week passed, and he came back for his lesson, and I had to go to the bathroom, so I was in the bathroom so I could hear him. And, I heard the concerto being played, so I quickly finished my business, washed my hands. I didn't even dry my hands. And I jogged over to the room, and I said, what are you doing? He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, what are you doing right now? You're playing this piece. And he said, yeah. I said, well, how could you have pulled off something like this in 1 week? He goes, oh, I practiced.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Amazing.
you practiced. How much did you practice? Yeah, it was amazing. And he said, I practiced 3.5 to 4 hours every day this week. I was blown away. So this was inspiration on a new level. He continued to thrive like this, and he learned the entire first movement of the concerto by the time that he had to audition.
Wow.
Naturally, as I'm sure you can expect, he won the audition with 2 other high-level players that year. He went on the next year as a senior to be seen as the best musician in the department, and he actually there's an award for that. And when he played the concerto, he was the last one to play in the spring, and, it was like standing ovation, knock your socks off, outlier performance.
Nice.
As I knew it would be. And man, I just thought to myself, imagine if I had enforced my limits. My view at the time was that you don't learn a concerto like that when the most advanced piece before that you played was a Clementi Sonatina, and then you didn't practice piano for 2 years. Now, I'm not suggesting that Luke's path is one for everyone to emulate, but what I am suggesting is that my own view on the situation and how I could facilitate him was really important, and he taught me lessons about limits. Now, unfortunately, just a few years later, he actually passed away from a brain tumor.
Oh, it's awful.
And yeah, it's It's unbelievable. And luckily we had reconnected the month before he transitioned, and we actually had a lesson together, and he really couldn't make it through the lesson, but he was feeling such joy just to be in that situation with me, talking about music, playing music. Incredibly moving.
Indeed. Wow.